For this question, they want us to find the solutions to this system of equations. So if you remember, the first thing we're going to do here is turn this guy into an augmented matrix. Notice how this yellow matrix or variable column vector goes away. And after we turn something into an augmented matrix, we got to make the left-hand side, the blue side, the coefficient matrix, we got to turn it into an identity matrix. Remember what that is. It's where we have ones all across the diagonal and zeros everywhere else. In our effort to do that, the right-hand side, the red column vector, its numbers will change and turn into our answers. The one thing we got to be careful about in this question is that when we put it into a calculator, there's no bar in our augmented matrix. So when we input it into the calculator, don't worry about trying to place this little bar in there. The calculator will know what you mean. So here we go, let's get started. All right, so for a question like this, we have to create a matrix. So how do we create a matrix on this calculator? Well, we have to first start off with the open bracket. See this bracket right here? It's colored in blue. In order to access any of my blue buttons or functions, I have to hit the second button first. So to get to this blue bracket, I'm going to hit second and then this button. And there we go, we got a bracket. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to input each row one by one. So each row will be separated by a colon or a semicolon, and then each number in the row will be separated by a comma. So let's go through the first row first. So my first number for the first row is 2. Second number, I got to first put a comma, which is right here. Second number is -1. Now don't click the minus sign. Go down here and hit the negative sign. So -1, comma, sorry, I'm looking at trying to do everything at the same time. And comma 1. Okay, so notice how for the first row, I put everything in my coefficient matrix and in my solution matrix. That's going to be considered my first row. Now what I'm going to do here is I need to go to the second row, so I have to hit this blue colon, semicolon button. So second, and then 9. So this notation indicates that I'm now on the second row. So what are my numbers for the second row? -1. Okay, that's my first number. My second number is 2. My third number is -1. And my last number, which is the solution in the solutions matrix, is 7. All right, good. So now let's do our final row. But before that, we got to put the semicolon in there. Second, 9. Good. All right, so for the last row, we have what I think looks like a 5, comma, and then we got a -4. Sorry guys, my vision is going, I swear. Then we got a 2, comma, and then in the solutions matrix we have a 4. Okay, so once we're done putting in all the inputs, we got to close this guy off, okay? So I'm going to do blue, second, and then the division sign, because that's where my blue closed bracket is. And the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to say, hey, this whole matrix, I'm going to call him A. So how do I call him A? I press this button here, store, okay? I click store and you'll see a little arrow pop up. That means we're going to call this matrix, and then I'm going to just call him A. So A is colored in white. In order to get to my white keys, I got to click alpha, and then this equal sign right here. So we created this whole matrix and we labeled him alpha. Sorry, and we labeled him A. So now let's click enter. There you go. So look, we've created a matrix. It's a 3x4 matrix, and there's actually an invisible line right here, right? It's an augmented matrix, but they don't actually put the line there like we do when we write it by hand. But just know that this is an augmented matrix, and this last column right here is the solutions matrix. Okay, so now what we got to do here is we got to try to get the solution. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit clear to get rid of all this. Clear? I'm going to go to this button that says math. What color is math in? It's in blue, right? So let's hit the second button and then math. And then you're going to get a menu drop down. And what we're going to do is we're going to scroll down to matrix, hit enter. And then what we're looking for is, well, right, all these different things are functions for matrices. So this one, this little t is the transpose. This one gives you the determinant. This one is row echelon form, which is where you have all your zeros in the bottom left triangle. But what we're looking for is reduced row echelon form. This is when we get an identity matrix on the left-hand side, and we get answers on the right-hand side of our augmented matrix. So what we're going to do is we're going to look for a reduced row echelon form, hit enter, and they're saying you want to do the reduced row echelon form of what matrix? Well, we want it to be of matrix A. So let's put A in here. I'm sorry, guys, that this thing is all sorts of fuzzy. So A, and close that parentheses. Boom. And then let's hit enter. And there we go. Now we got an identity matrix and then our solutions right here. So this means x equals 6, y equals 5, and z equals -3.